If you're dealing with debt, you know how frustrating it can be, and so do we. We're Family Credit Management, and over the past 20 years, our experts have helped thousands of families conquer their debt. What we do is work with you and your creditors to find a customized solution to your finances. Isn't it time you took control of your financial future? As one of the nation's largest nonprofit credit counseling agencies, we're trusted experts who can really help. But you must take the first step.
Hey, we are back another week. My name is Latisha Griffin. I'm a certified credit counselor and just here to talk to you about any types of issues or problems that you may have regarding debt, regarding financing, regarding dealing with collection agencies, any types of financial questions that you may have. You can call in at 312-738-1060 and get those questions answered right now. And let's just say you don't think of a question until later, or you've got some questions but you're not sure or you don't want to talk on the air. That's totally fine. You can reach out and you can contact a counselor at 800-994-3328. And I want you to take advantage of the website that's appearing there, familycredit.org. There's a great chat function that you can use, and let's say you just don't have time or you don't feel like calling, you can use that chat function. You can ask your questions to a certified counselor, get the answers and the advice that you're looking for right then and there. So that's a great resource for you to have. So I just wanted to put that out there, and feel free to call in. Like I said, over the next 30 minutes or so, next 25 minutes or so, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. Now, speaking of answering questions, I've had a lot of questions come in over the past couple of weeks, and it has to deal with just rebuilding your credit. So I wanted to start off there and just touch on rebuilding your credit and steps you can take. I had someone that I was speaking with earlier who actually mentioned that they had just come out of a bankruptcy. Well, they've been out of a bankruptcy for a few years. They don't see a huge improvement on their credit and was just wondering what to do. And so many people, they struggle with this after bankruptcy. Remember, we talked about bankruptcy last week too. And bankruptcy is like a trump card. You use it when you have to. If you don't, you try not to. You just use it when you need to. And you have to rebuild after that. So that's the tricky part. Now, bankruptcy, once you file, depending on how you filed, it does affect you for 10 years. And some people may think, well, I filed a Chapter 13, which is where you make the payments each and every single month. So I only have to, worry about that for 7 years. But when you think about it, when you set up that repayment plan with the 13, you are making your payments for 3 years. And so after your discharge date, it stays on your credit another 7. Guess what? That's 10 years right there. So bankruptcy, no matter what chapter you file, it affects you for 10 years. It stays on your report. But your actual score only looks at the last 24 months worth of history. So I'm telling you that if you file bankruptcy, doesn't matter. After 2 years, you should be able to reestablish yourself and get back on track. Now, that mark is still on your report and it'll affect you in some ways, but not in all. It won't stop you from getting financing. It just may throw a few blocks in your path. And those are things that you can overcome. So when you're looking at bankruptcy and rebuilding after bankruptcy, first thing you want to do is look at where you are, know how much money you have that you can work with in your budget, and you don't want to go over whatever cap you put out there as far as being able to afford your debt payments and other spending, all of those things, because this money, it's got to come from somewhere to pay your bills. So you want to make sure that you can comfortably do that before you start adding other debt back in. Then you want to think about, what are those things in life that I actually need? Am I thinking about getting a home? Am I thinking about getting a car later? What are my goals? And those are some of the things that you want to really think about, because you have to think about how much those things are going to cost you. Nothing's for free. So you want to plan for it, and you need to start now, especially if you're fresh out of a bankruptcy or you're out of a bankruptcy working on rebuilding. Think about that now. Then you want to look at establishing credit. The thing about establishing credit after bankruptcy is that a lot of times it comes at a higher, much higher interest rate. And so when you're fresh out of a bankruptcy, you probably will have to get that credit card that starts at like 20, 25 or more percent, because they know that you don't have anything and you're desperate to reestablish your credit. So of course you've got all these lenders out there, all these different credit card companies that are going to try and offer you something at a higher interest rate. And because you don't have anything and you're kind of, blocked as far as what you can do because of the bankruptcy, you are going to accept whatever's out there. And that's okay. But just pay attention to it. So if you get this credit card and it's got a higher interest rate, pay attention to your monthly payments. You want to make sure that you're making those monthly payments each and every single month. Pay attention to what the interest rate is. And pay attention to whether the interest rate is higher if you take a cash advance or if you just use it as for regular credit card purchases. Is there a differentiation there? So you want to think about that as well. Then you want to be able, if something happens, to make those payments. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but right now it looks like we've got our first caller. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, I actually just had a question. Do you recommend I let my friend become an authorized user on my credit card?
That's a touchy subject that a lot of people don't know how to deal with, but it really depends on you and whether you feel you can afford the payment for you and your friend. So being authorized on someone's card, what it means is that yes, you are putting them on a card to help them most likely rebuild their credit or change their situation, but it affects you and it affects them. So let's say something happens on your end and you're not able to make that payment anymore. It still shows up on your friend's credit report too. So if you miss a payment, they miss a payment, and that's going to affect them too. So do I recommend that? Totally up to you, but if you can stay away from it, try not to become authorized on someone else's account. It is a good way for you to rebuild, but it's got a lot of negatives on it as well, and that's for joint accounts too. And we talked about that a little bit last week too. A lot of times when you're trying to get out from under that, or you've got a joint account, you can contact the creditor and see what needs to be done for you to be removed from that account in the future as well. But know what you're getting yourselves into and pay attention to it. And for your friend, if you're allowing them to come onto your account, you have to make sure that they know what they can use and what they can't. Make sure that if they use anything, that they're responsible for that payment. And you want to make sure that if they cannot make that payment for the portion that they've used, you can cover that as well. So be careful with those joint and authorized users on the accounts though. They can get you into situations and get you into trouble. And if you've got any other questions or examples about that, feel free to give us a call back. Also, you can contact a counselor at Family Credit because they can help you with those situations too and give you some ideas and workarounds around actually being an authorized user. So we were talking about just coming out of bankruptcy and dealing with that and rebuilding your credit too. So after you've taken a look at what you can afford, you've gone out and you started trying to get accounts. And sometimes when you try for a secured account, you may find that you can't get the credit card you want. So you look at getting a secured account. And with a secured account, what you're doing is you're taking money and you are using that money as collateral to say if something goes wrong on this account, then the bank has a right to use that money that I've put on hold and for them to make this debt right. And that's what that security does. That's what it's for. And it lets the bank know that you're serious about your credit too. Now what's going to happen is you're going to make your payments each and every single month on that credit card, and whatever your credit card limit is actually determined by the amount of money that you put down. So if you wanted to get a card and start rebuilding your credit, and let's say you only had $200 to put down, that's going to be your credit limit. So now you've got a $200 credit limit account and you can make your payments on it and use it like a regular credit card. The best part is that those cards are reported to the credit bureaus. And sometimes, depending on who the lender is, sometimes when it's reported, it looks just like a regular credit card too. But you want to check with that lender and see how they report to the credit bureau. And you want to actually make sure that they do report to the credit bureau. I've come across some people that think that they've gotten a secured account, but what they really have gotten is a debit card And a lot of the online banks, they probably advertise that way, and some people get confused because you're looking to rebuild your credit and you're thinking that you're doing that, but what's really happening is you just putting your money in an account and using it. It has no effect on your credit report at all. So before you apply for something, when you're thinking about applying for something, make sure you find out if that lender reports to the credit bureau, because that's the key thing here. You're trying to rebuild your credit, so you want to make sure that they report. Also, if you've got any other questions about rebuilding after bankruptcy, feel free to call in and ask those. Another thing that people are struggling with, paying collection accounts. Now, collection accounts can be tricky because, like I said, a lot of times you have those creditors that are calling you and harassing you, and they want you to make a payment now, and sometimes they'll scare you, and what they're really trying to do is break down your defenses so that you can open up your wallet. And sometimes we let it happen, but I want you to be cautious, and I don't want that to happen to you. So we'll go over some tips on how to deal with creditor harassment in a few minutes. But right now, it looks like we've got another caller. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hello, my credit report is reporting that that is not mine. How do I get that taken care of?
I'm sorry, who was reporting? I didn't hear you.
There's debt reporting that's not mine on the credit report. How do I get that taken care of?
Okay. First thing you need to do is contact the credit bureaus when you notice anything on your report that is not yours. You want to contact the credit bureaus and let them know. And you can do a dispute with that, or you can contact the 800 numbers that the credit bureaus offer as well. The easiest way to do it is to go online and dispute it. Now what will happen, you let them know that it's not yours, and they will do an investigation on their end to have that account removed. Now, sometimes different banks change hands and we don't know why another creditor is reporting, so that could be a reason for that. But you also want to keep in mind that if you see something on your report that's not yours, somebody could have opened up an account fraudulently in your name. So the first step that you do, contact the credit bureaus and let them know. That account your credit bureau report will get frozen at that time. Now it's just a temporary freeze. Then the next step you want to do is contact the police department and file a police report, especially if you find out a little bit more details about the account though. Now with that police report, eventually you are going to take that police report and submit it to the credit bureau so that that temporary hold that they put on your credit report becomes a permanent hold, and that's what you want. Then if you've got the information and details about that account, you can contact that creditor directly and find out why are they reporting to the credit bureaus and what information they have on that account. But the best part about reporting to the credit bureaus that that is not your account is that after their investigation is completed and they find out that, hey, it really is not your account, that account gets deleted from your credit bureau. And the credit bureaus will send you an updated report with new information that will show that that account is no longer on your report and is not affecting you. So the best thing you can do is stay diligent about that account and make sure that it comes off of your report. Check it in a couple of months after you know this has come off, and just make sure it's still not reporting back on your report. Looks like we've got another caller. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi.
I was calling to find out what do I need to do to bring my credit score back up.
Okay. Thanks for calling in and asking that question. Now, a lot of people are struggling with that, so that's what we're here to talk about. How do you bring your credit score up? Now, after you've established that account, the best thing that you can do is pay attention to your credit limit. Also pay attention to your monthly payment. Now, a lot of people will pay off their accounts each and every single month thinking that it's doing them good and is helping their credit. But what's happening is by you paying off your accounts every single month like that, a lot of times the credit bureaus and the creditors out there don't realize that there's any activity going on your report. So it's like your report is sitting stagnant. It's okay, it's not the best, and it could be better. And so what you want to do is just work on trying to make it better. Now with credit, it's all a game, and the credit bureaus see it as such too. So what you can do, you've got this account. Let's talk about our $200 secured account that we just got after filing bankruptcy. So we've got this account, and we wanted to make our credit report better. After you first open it, of course, your credit score is a little bit lower once you open a new account. But as you begin making payments on it each and every single month, that score is going to start going back up. Now, what you need to do is take this account and you want to use it. Now, if you've got that $200 limit, it's not much you can actually do to it, but if every now and then you want to use a little bit, maybe $75 to $100 or so, and what you want to do is make sure you're making your minimum payment. You don't want to pay it off right away. Make your minimum payment for 2 to 3 months. And what you're doing is you're showing the credit bureaus, I've got this account, I'm making my minimum payments, I know how to use credit responsibly. And when they report to the credit bureau, your creditor is reporting that you're actually using the credit card, and the creditors can now see it. It doesn't just say balance is zero, it may say that the balance is $25 or whatever it is. But you want to make sure that you're using it. And then maybe after 2 or 3 months of doing that, then you pay the account off. I recommend doing that maybe 2 to 3 times a year. What that does is it keeps your account open and active, lets the creditor know that you're using it, and a lot of times other creditors will notice that that's what you're doing too, and then you'll begin to get offers for credit cards. And where you started off with this one account, you got your high interest rate, now you're getting offers for 5 and 6% interest or 0% interest because they see that you're using your credit responsibly. This is going to take some time. Now, while you're doing that, let's say you've got some collection accounts that are on your credit report and that are reporting. The one thing that you want to pay attention to with that is the date that those accounts are shown on your credit report. Anything that has been reporting for more than 2 years, I would say don't even worry about it. You want to look at anything that's been reported in the last 24 months. And those are the things that you want to work on addressing. So if you got a collection account that's been on there for a while, if they're not making any noise, don't raise any flags. So leave those alone. But if let's say you got a medical bill that just hit, and you want to look at trying to get that taken care of and paid off, because that's the one that's affecting your score the most. Anything that happened within the last 2 years, that's what's affecting your score. So a lot of times you may say that, well, I know I've got this $700 balance, but I can't pay it all off right now. Start off by making smaller payments on it too. So if it's a $700 balance, maybe you can only pay $50 a month, or maybe you have to pay less than that. But guess what? If you pay $50 a month and it's a $700 balance, next month that balance is going to be $650. And then after that, it's going to keep going while your balance is being reduced. Now that's going to help you in 2 ways, because yes, your balance is being reduced first of all. So that means that you don't have to worry about that debt. And a lot of times we'll think in our heads, okay, it used to be $700, but a few months from now, it'll only be $500, and it'll keep doing that. That helps that way. And it helps because it's reducing the amount of debt that's shown on your credit report, and it's making your credit report better. And it's doing it small little steps at a time, but it's going to have a huge result, especially if you do it that way. So you're working on bringing down that collection account. You got your positives going with the new credit card reporting. And so what you're doing is you're finding a lot of positive ways to counteract that negative that's going on your report. And that's what you need to make your credit better. So that's going to help you rebuild. Also, talk to a lot of people that are struggling with medical debt. That's out there too. So if you've got medical debt, you don't know what to do. First off, you need to see about contacting the billing department at every hospital or medical facility that you've been to, because they have charity assistance available. That charity assistance is going to go a long ways in helping you with this debt too. Now, do you know that some medical networks, they're able to look back at your past history, and when you request charity assistance, they can some of them have been known to wipe out debts for people just because they requested charity assistance. And no matter what your income is, everyone qualifies for it. Now you may qualify at a different level, but everyone qualifies for it. So contact them, ask for the billing department, and see if they can give you an application for charity assistance. You may have to send in a check stub. Some of them may require a tax return. But if they can take anything off of that bill for you, I would think that it's worth it. Now, there are a lot of places that may report a medical bill. You may have one medical company that's reporting like 6 different times, and we'll talk about that in a second too, because there's a way for you to clear that up. Looks like we've got another caller. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi. So I had a difficult financial situation recently and made the mistake of taking out some payday loans and some online loans that are interest rates of like 300%, and I'm just drowning in them. What suggestions do you have for getting those paid off?
Now, with those, a lot of people are struggling with those too as well. And some of them, they actually do report to the credit bureaus, but it's a matter of figuring out which ones. Now, a lot of times when you have a payday loan, they are taking money out of your bank account because you have given them permission. They are threatening you and they're threatening to contact your employer because you have given them permission. And what you want to do is you want to take that permission back from them. And you can also look at trying to restructure a plan and a payment plan to pay those off and get out from under that debt. Counselors at Family Credit can help you with that, can help you by stepping in, talking to them, and figuring out what your options are and what's available for you. Simply with those types of debts, they're ruthless and they really can do a lot of damage to your household income, to your budget, and probably whatever goals you have, because they're attacking your finances. And keep in mind, you've given them permission. They know when you get paid. You've given them that information. You've also given them your bank account information, and you have given them your employer's number. So they have permission to actually harass you at work and your boss. And you really don't want that. So you need to step in and take control of your situation and let them know that, yes, I've given you permission to debit my account. You have permission to contact my employer, but now I am simply taking back that permission. And the way you do that is you write a letter to them saying that you no longer have permission to attach my wages. And that's pretty much what a lot of people don't realize. You got the power to take that back and make those debits stop. They can't harass you forever. Now, you've got that debt though, so you do want to set up payment arrangements and let them know when you're taking back that permission. My goal is to pay you however much you can. You can say, I can only afford to pay you $50 a month. That should clear up this debt within the next 6 months or so, depending on what that balance is. You figure out what payment works for you. You let them know that. Now, sometimes some of these creditors may scare you into thinking that they're going to sue you or anything like that. So you do want to be diligent, do your research, and see if they actually do have the right to sue you. Look at the paperwork that you've signed and set up payment arrangements before it goes that far too. If you need some help, the counselors can help you with that and give you advice on how to deal with that as well. So we were talking about just the dealing with the collection agencies, the medical bills, and we'll talk a little bit more over the next few weeks about dealing with predatory lenders as well. So let's wrap up with just dealing with those collection agencies. Like I said, look at the dates that those accounts hit your report. And a lot of times we see, like with medical bills, it could be a collection agency dealing with the medical bill, but they could have 6 different balances and listed 6 different times on your credit report. Just think, by them doing that, that's hitting your score and dropping it constantly every time that they reported a new debt. So what you want to do is look at those debts, figure out who has them, and work out a payment plan. And like I said, even paying $10 a month helps get that down too. And you can talk to them about making a settlement offer or one-time only payment for them to remove or wrap up all of those debts into one. And that way, those debts can be updated with a 0 balance on your credit report. If you need some help with that, feel free to call in. And next week, we'll probably wrap up a little bit. We'll touch a little bit more on dealing with collections. Also, we'll touch a little bit on student loans, and also the big school's out now what. So we've got some planning that we're going to do about what you can do over the summer. If you got any other questions or problems, feel free to give us a call. There's so many things going on in the city, so many programs that are out there available, and there's help that you can find when you need it. So feel free to use us as a resource. Again, you can contact a counselor, 800-994-3328, or chat online if you've got any types of questions about dealing with your debt. So I guess that's about it for today, and I will see you again next week. Take care.